I don't know why.
Really?
Sometimes I think that like, and I could be so wrong and people might not agree with me, but I think running into an ex best friend is sometimes worse than running into an ex-boyfriend.
Okay, so I can't give an opinion because I actually just ran into my ex for the first time in Boston since we broke up. And it was pretty horrible. It was pretty terrifying. It wasn't horrible. It was just I didn't say hi. I didn't know what to do.
Right.
But like, what do you do in that instance?
But
do you say hi?
that's
or
what
do
I
you
mean,
not
though.
say hi?
That's why I actually think it's worse because an ex-boyfriend, at least you know that you hate each other. You know you're not on speaking terms. Like you don't want to see them unless you're like someone that you're still friends after the breakup or it wasn't that bad, whatever. But let's assume it's a normal ex situation.
Yeah.
You hate them. Someone probably cheated. Someone was probably an asshole. Like whatever it was, it's like don't want to talk to them. And you see them and you know exactly what to do. You avoid them and you don't make eye contact and you keep freaking walking. Or you see each other and you make awkward small talk, which like don't do that. It's weird. You just like you should have like you should see them coming from a mile away and you should find some reason to like take a right or a left, a sharp turn, like put your head down, pretend you're on your phone.
Me and you freeze and you walk right by them. Like,
yeah, that's
and
definitely.
could touch them if you wanted.
Okay.
But I've never ran into, like I definitely have like ex-best friends who, some of them don't live in this state, so I'm kind of safe. But like I've never had that experience, so I don't know what's worse. But I can imagine like the paralyzing fear of like, oh my God, like, do you act friendly? Do you not?
Right, because you can't not.
Do you act like nothing's happened? Do you pretend to care about what's happening in their life?
I just think like there's people that, like I have like ex-boyfriends I'm still on really good terms with, like maybe from like years and years ago. And I would say hi and be like, hey, how's it going? And that's fine because we've like moved on. I think I have ex-boyfriends that I hate and I would just, again, I'd find a reason. I'd pick up my phone, pretend I was talking on the phone. I'd pretend I was texting. I'd pretend I was like FaceTiming my mom. I'd do anything to not make eye contact and that's fine. I think, and then there's like, let's say a guy that you went on a date or two with that like there was no feelings. You see them and oh, easy. You just pretend like you don't know who they are.
Right. But a best friend.
Best friends, like one of your best
That's
friends,
tough.
you have to say hi.
Yeah.
You have to. Yes, especially if it wasn't like
a fault,
like
a
if
fight.
it wasn't like, oh, one of us stole the other one's boyfriends or something crazy, but like you stop being friends, like the friendship is over and you see them years later. I just think it's so awkward and then you have to stop and say hi. And I think the worst part is like I was like processing it afterwards because in the moment you're like, oh my gosh, like it's been so long and it's like, do you hug? What do you do? And I feel like I'd run into her in the past, like over the years, and it was always like, you know, kind of hard, or maybe at the point we were still a little bit talking. But this time, like, it hit me because I spent so many years like being sad that I wasn't friends with this person anymore. Like we were so close. It actually hit me. I was like, not like when I walked away, I was like, I don't feel sad anymore because the person I was just talking to isn't my friend.
Right.
Like she's a different person now. Like I don't know anything about her. I don't know who her boyfriend is. I don't know what apartment they're living in. I don't know that she just, you know, went to, you know, Miami for 3 months. Like I don't know that. And it's like a weird thing because I can't even put it into words. Like I feel like when you have someone that you're that close with, like you and me, like we know everything about each other for the most part, and like you know updates in each other's lives.
Right.
And to like not know like major crucial milestones, I just think it's like it's so sad. And but then there's this part of you that's like, I don't know you anymore. So like I can't, like how do you be sad over something that like that person's gone? Like I miss who you were, you know, 5 years ago. Like I don't miss who you are today because you're not you. Like I almost like, it's almost like even if we became friends today, you still wouldn't be that person. And like, I probably wouldn't either. Like I've definitely like changed over the years. And it's like when you don't grow with someone and you reconnect years later, like you're different people. And it's almost like we wouldn't be friends if the version like that you are today of yourself and the version I am today of myself met 5 years ago when we were friends, we probably wouldn't be friends because we're so different now.
Right. Yeah, no, I think there's times where I think back and wonder like, oh, like so-and-so and I, like we stopped being friends a couple years ago, but like now we've taken time to like grow up and maybe mature a little bit. Like, could we actually be friends again? Like, I wonder that. And I think, you know, it's probably situational, case by case, but I mean, at this point in your life, I feel like it's so hard to make friends. And, you know, they say like your circle gets smaller as you get older. You probably are a little bit more selective on who you want to like invite back in your life. But I don't know. For me, I'm very much quality over quantity. So if I've probably had a fallout with someone, like, not that I don't give second chances, but I'm less likely to like believe that like we're probably like meant to be friends.
Yeah, that's a really good point. No, I've always heard that. Like, people have always told me, like, as you get older, your social circle is going to get smaller. It's inevitable. That's just the way it is. I don't know if I believe that or not, because I think like I've lost friends over the years, but I think I've also gained people. I like, the one thing I think to be true is that you will align with people that like align with like you and like the person that you are as time goes on. Like, I think the people that you're friends with in high school, even maybe sometimes college, like in the moment you might feel like, oh, we have so much in common, but it's just like this forced like environment. Like in high school, you're going to the same classes, you have the same teachers, like you're playing the same sports, like you know all the same people, you're in the same small town. So it's like, are you really that, like there was girls I had friends in high school that I was like, oh my god, we're like the same person, we're gonna be lifelong friends. And now it's like nothing wrong with it, we're so different that we're not gonna be friends because we don't like any of the same things. Don't have the same goals. Like, we're just not the same, which is no hard feelings. That's fine. Same with college. Like, you're all going to the frat parties and like talking about the same boys and like living that same lifestyle. And I think it's a artificially created lifestyle. That's not really who you are. So I think after college, it makes sense that there's going to be some people that just like fall out of your life. But I do think that like with that, like I have people that I've gotten so close with because like we do agree on things, and I think like who we genuinely are at our core is more similar. And like ultimately I'm like happy with the people that I have in my life now. You know what I mean?
Right. I think so. For me personally, it's not only just quality versus quantity, but I definitely weeded out like surface level friends. Like I just like you mentioned in college, like, you're going to all the same social things, but it's like at this point, it's like I'm more so thinking like, who am I going to invite to my wedding? Who's going to be my bridal party? Like, I don't care to have like going out friends. Like, obviously, like I go out with my friends, but like they're not surface level friends. Like, they're people that like mean something to me. And like, I want them like at my wedding. I want them at all of my like major life events. Like, I want to go through life with them. And like, there's definitely like people that like I was friends with in high school and college, and like no bad blood or anything, but it's like, we're not like actual real friends. Like, you don't know anything about me. I don't know anything about you,
and like,
which is fine. But it's just like, I only have so much energy to put into friendships, and I want to put them into people that, not deserved, like not that other people don't deserve it, but it's like, these are the people that I want to literally grow old with.
Yes, and it makes sense. And if you think about it, if you break it down, like the person that you are when you're 20 is going to be so different than the person you are when you're 30. You're going to grow in so much. So there really isn't any like bad blood when like you stop having someone in your life, because like they're just the person that they became is just different than the person that you became. And I think that's fine. I just think like, I don't know, it's just weird. Like when you go through a breakup with a boy, like you're going to break up with so many boys, you're going to get broken up with so many times like your whole life, and that's almost to be expected. Mm-hmm. And I feel like as much as a breakup can hurt in the moment, like looking back, it's almost like, oh yeah, we just like didn't work. But I think there's something that cuts deeper about like someone being like, I don't want to be a part of your life, like as a friend, because you can have multiple friends for the rest of your life. So someone like wanting to like cut off a friendship, almost like, I know the first time it ever happened to me, like really rocked me. I was like, oh my God, like this person doesn't want to be a part of my life. Like, it's not like, oh, we're gonna break up because we're just not, we're fighting too much. It's like, no, I just don't want to be in your life anymore. It's interesting. So it does hurt. But Michael and I talk about this all the time. Like, if the times that we broke up over the years, like we look back at it now, and the person that we were at 18 was so compatible, but then the people we were at 22 were not compatible. Like, we weren't on the same page. And then the people at 23, 24 were not on the same page, but then like from 25 up, we've been so on the same page. So I think it's like interesting because you really do like kind of like swim in and out. But I do have a special place in my heart for people who, like, I have friends who are not in the same place as me from a lifestyle perspective. Like maybe they're married with kids, like living in a different state, like whatever. and just as close with them. Like nothing's ever changed, even though we're like completely polar opposites, do different things, different hobbies, different ambitions, goals, and we're still just as close. Like that shit, like those people are like the true few, because that's amazing. Like when you can have nothing really in common with someone on a surface level, and like when you're with them, it's like no time has passed. I feel like those are the friendships that are like amazing.
Yeah. I don't know. You know, you have a lot more friends than I do.
No, but like you know what I mean though.
I know I do 1,000%, but I'm trying to think, like I can think of my best friend. She's not a huge partier. She's not a huge drinker, but you know, she can still come out and hang, but you know,
well, right. I think she's a good example.
Every weekend.
She's like a good example. And it's not even like the partying. She just like has her, like she's very into like fitness. Like she has her vibe, and like she lives in a different like city, but you guys are like still best friends. And I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think it's cool when you're surrounding yourself with people that aren't always all like you, but I do think it's easier when like you do a lot of the same shit.
I agree.
Through osmosis.
It's so weird though, like thinking back to some of the people in my life that I'm no longer friends with. It all stemmed from a boy, which is so annoying.
Like they hated him and they couldn't put up with it anymore.
Either they hated my boyfriend, or I hated their boyfriend, or we hated someone that we were talking to or whatever. But like, I think it all, like those friendships, I was like, you know what? I'm going to pretend that they just didn't like that, like maybe I wasn't hanging out with them as much anymore, or like.
So that one's like tougher though, because there's a part of me that's like, I could see, I've been the friend that like is annoyed with my friend who's with the shitty guy, and I'm like, just break up with the dude, and you get frustrated. Like, so there, I like when you said earlier, sometimes I wonder like, would we be friends now? Like maybe, because like that like dynamic isn't there anymore.
Right.
Like I feel like that's different than someone being like, oh, I like don't really see us being friends because I just don't like
you.
I don't think yeah, or like I just don't think we're on the same page. Like we want different things. That's literally like a breakup. Like,
I know.